Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm losing my voice a little bit, so I apologize if the sound is a little off, but I wanted to have a conversation with you today about how I personally work to find blocks, because I love sharing my experiences with you in the hopes that maybe it'll spark some sort of realization and help you in your life with what you're working on with yourself and your goals. And yeah, I just want to be clear that these are like my methods, and take whatever might feel like it resonates with you, and feel free to ask me questions if you'd like me to clarify or expand upon anything. I would be happy to do that. Please just leave me a note in the comments. So I had this come through last night, and it was about the times when, gotta sort through this. It's about the times when you know that there's still something blocking your manifestation. You've been doing a lot of work, and you know that you're getting results, but maybe that, final breakthrough hasn't happened yet. And you're just kind of wondering, like, man, what is that last, little piece? I always feel like it's like trying to, get a dam to burst, but there's just like a Band-Aid or something. It's a horrible analogy, but there's like a Band-Aid, and that's, if you rip the last Band-Aid off, then the dam will finally release. That's how I visualize it. So sometimes it can be difficult to really get to the core of what's going on with ourselves when we are operating in such a mechanical or automated or like through some sort of procedural way. Of course, this can definitely benefit us. It's benefited me plenty, to do techniques and have a routine and, certain routines or methods for introspection. But sometimes you just need to sit with yourself and kind of urge things to the surface and not be using your logical mind so much. Sometimes you need to quiet down your logical mind, because sometimes when you have exhausted all the logical beliefs that you can find and you're like, okay, I've worked on all my beliefs, plenty of them, of our beliefs are still rooted in emotion, and so they are probably irrational or illogical, but they're still beliefs, and they're important to us because we're creating our reality based off of it. So what I'd encourage you to do, if this feels right for you, this is how I do it, is it's almost like having a conversation with a friend that's going through a hard time and just can't quite figure out what's going on with them. Put your state onto them and just pretend that, this friend of yours, like a close friend of yours, is like, man, I just can't figure out what's going on with me. Like there's something, that's off, and I just can't get to the bottom of it. You have conversation with them, right? And you take your time with it. You start walking through things. Well, how are you feeling at work? How are you feeling in your relationships? What's up with your mom or your dad or your sister or your best friend or, your partner? You start going over everything and looking for commonalities, right? Like, what are the feelings? Because if we've exhausted all options and we don't know what's going on with us and it doesn't seem to be anything logical, then this is the time to really respect and nurture our feelings to come to the surface. So this conversation, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on yourself, because feelings are sensitive, right? And like they don't always want to, it's intimidating, right? Because a lot of our really deep-seated limiting beliefs are based on fear. So you have to coax them out, right? So for example, one thing that I do is I might start this conversation knowing that I need to, try and coax whatever this is out. I might start it in the morning with myself. Be like, hey, what's going on with this? Like, let's see if we can figure this out today. Not like, okay, I just woke up, we need to get this done before breakfast, or before I get to work. And maybe I'm not making any progress and I have to get ready for work, so I shelve it for a little bit, and then maybe on my drive to work I see like if things want to start flowing, and maybe they don't. Maybe on my lunch break or in some free time I have, maybe the juices start flowing then and you start getting some progress, but you don't quite get to the root, and so you set it down. And then maybe you're taking, a shower after you get home from work, and like I have all my best thoughts in the shower, I think, half the time. Or like, as I'm falling asleep and I have to wake up and write them down. But sometimes it just won't come out in the shower and I can't get the things to surface. So what I did the other night was I said, okay, that's fine. But what I did was I was all cozy, like wrapped up after my shower, and I just went and wrapped myself up in a blanket, and I said, I'm just going to sit here with you and like, let's see what's going on. And so I just kind of closed my eyes, sat on my bed, and I just let myself feel, and I gave myself time for my emotions to come up. And lo and behold, I made progress and I figured out what was going on. And it's like I can't even put words to it, but I could pinpoint where the feelings were coming from, and then I knew where to start looking. But sometimes, I have this thought of like, there's something missing. If I sit down and journal it, then it has to come out kind of thing. But that wasn't happening. Sometimes these things that are fear-based act like they're fear-based, and they kind of hide from you, and you have to be gentle with yourself and not put pressure on yourself. Sometimes that can work, but just really knowing when to adapt your approach with yourself, and that, methods and routines are really great to have, but understanding how to adapt that for yourself and what your needs are. When it comes to looking at logical blocks, maybe you can say, oh, well, in a past relationship, I was cheated on, and, I know that I have this belief that, I'm not good enough to be the priority or something like that. And then there's other ones that are, I don't even know how to describe it because, like when I find them within myself, they're just so unique and interesting. I'll reflect for a minute to see if I can come up with a good example because I want to give you guys something. Okay, I thought of an example. So sometimes I feel that the emotion-based ones can often either be hyper-specific or very broad and apply to so many different things. Like, I know I've talked in previous videos that when it comes to different relationships we have different belief systems for each category of relationship, and that can get down to like there can be a lot of categories, right? We can have a lot of different beliefs and categories for our relationships based on the ways that we have felt the need to protect ourselves from potential harm with best friends, super close friends, acquaintances, family members, romantic interests that are casual, romantic interests that could be serious, things like that. So like I've noticed that I have certain triggers like around my birthday. So, like things that when you were a child you placed large importance on, and maybe negative things were manifesting or happening during these events or these situations that were of high importance to you. So you can have like a totally different belief system once it gets to that like time of the year that's close to your birthday. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because then you can start to see these things come up. But just knowing that, I don't think I can get any more specific than emotional triggers can really attach to very like niche scenarios. So you could feel like worthy of communication unless it's your mom and it's a Tuesday, or unless it's your dad and it's about buying food, or unless it's your brother and it's about making dinner plans or who's going to pick the movie that you guys watch. Like we can have these very hyper specific things where we can be super comfortable with, a person until it comes to these certain categories. And oftentimes the root of whatever that very specific thing is causing issues elsewhere. So you could be like, I don't really care if like I have issues around trying to figure out what movie like, my family watches on family movie nights or something, but typically it's manifesting in other ways too. So I feel like that kind of started to get a little offsides, but I'm going to keep this video short. Look at me, right around 10 minutes, and leave it there. Basically, that I'm encouraging you to give yourself the nurturance and love and grace to allow your irrational beliefs that are more emotion-based and fear-based than maybe the other ones. It's like it's kind of its own little category. Just give them time and space to come up. That, these routines and processes that we go through are fantastic, but when it comes to certain things that are really deep-seated like that, remember to have that compassion for yourself and really give yourself the time and space that you need, and set that space. You need to create that space for yourself. You can't just keep running around and hoping it comes up. You might need to slow down and take some quiet time with yourself, whether that's doing yoga or painting or just listening to like instrumental music or watching the sunset, I don't know, sitting on your porch for 30 minutes drinking some tea. And do something that facilitates the space for your thoughts to come up. And be patient. Might not happen right away. Like I said, it took me like all day to find the space for my feelings to come up recently when I was doing the work. So as always, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. I look forward to reading your comments. I absolutely adore them. I love having conversations with you guys, and if there's anything you'd love to hear me talk about, please let me know. You guys share so much with me. I feel like you gotta have some sort of requests in there somewhere, so I'd love to hear them. And I hope you have a great day whenever you're seeing this, and I will see you in the next video.